Good morning, financial algebra. 9.6, it's a really fast homework lesson, but I do want to go over the pieces to it. So this is a break-even analysis. We're still comparing expense and revenue. So first, let's go over, we're going to be using the quadratic formula again in this section. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And this is where we have a second degree equation where a is the term in front of the letter squared, b is the term in front of x, and c is your constant, or the number that doesn't have a letter. Now, zero net difference is mentioned in this section, and that is when the difference between expense and revenue is 0. Break-even points. So this is where our revenue and expense functions intersect. So for example, remember our parabola, this is our revenue. The straight line, this is our expense. But where the two intersect, so here and here, these 2 points are called our break-even. And most times they just want the price or X value. Now to find that, we are going to set our expense equal to our revenue equation, and we'll use the quadratic formula to solve. So I'm going to do some examples that are just like the ones in your homework. So first one, we're going to start small. ABS Industries has determined that the combined fixed and variable expenses for production and the sale of 800,000 items are $24 million. What is the price at the break-even point? All right, so it's saying that 800,000 items times X, and X is representing our price, equals 24 million, because equals means that their break even means our expenses will equal our revenue. Okay, and in this case, X is representing our price. So to solve, I would simply divide both sides by 800,000, and X equals $30. So if they sold their product for $30, they would break even. They wouldn't make anything, they wouldn't lose anything. So moving on to number 2, the expense equation for the production of a certain audio player. Here is our expense, where Q is the quantity of how many products you would sell. Q is the number of products sold. At a particular price, the break-even revenue is $3,800,000. So again, we're going to set our expense equal to our revenue. So our expense is $1,250 Q plus $700,000 is equal to our revenue of $3.8 million. So to solve, I would subtract the 700,000, and I would get 1250 Q equals 3.1 million, and then divide both sides by 1250. And if you use a calculator, Q equals 2,480. So that's the amount of, that's the quantity of products I would have to sell to break even. So I did one on quantity and one on price, just like your homework asks. All right, so number 3, estimate the break-even points of expense and revenue functions in each graph. So again, we are going to be estimating, I believe the one on your homework, it's really nice places, but we're estimating the price for these two spots here. Okay, so this one, okay, if this is 5, halfway would be 250. So I'm going to guess this, remember we're just estimating, so in part A I would say, let's say $2, or you could say $2.25. Either would be fine. And then this one here is really close to 15, so I might say and 14.8, or you could say or 14.9. You know, it's up to you. We are estimating. So I'm going to circle the two that I've estimated. In part B, these graphs do not intersect, and that's not good. That means that if this is your expense equation and this is your revenue, notice your expenses exceed any revenue. So there are none. There are no break-even points, meaning you probably shouldn't even produce this product because you're never going to make any money. What price is maximum revenue achieved in part A? Now remember, so this is part A. Maximum is this point up here, that very top. And so I'm looking at the price. And so that is halfway between 5 and 10. Halfway between 5 and 10, so 5 plus 10 divided by 2 would be 750. So I'm estimating that at the price of 750, you would make your maximum revenue, that top point. All right, number 4. Now we're going to skip the graph part. So they've given us our expense function, and they've given us our revenue. And it said determine the prices at break-even points and in part B and round to the nearest cent. So I'm going to actually have to do my work for part B. I'm going to do part B right here, and I'm going to set my equations equal to each other. So my expense is negative 54,000 P plus 7 million. And my revenue is negative 1,800 P squared plus 200,000 P. So in order for me to do anything, I'm just going to extend this out. I have to get everything on the same side. So I'm going to add 54,000 P, right? And I'm going to subtract the 7 million. And I think I added one too many zeros. Oh, nope, I had it. So I get 0 equals negative 1,800 P squared plus 254,000 P minus 7 million. Now I hate dealing with big numbers, guys. I just don't like it. It takes forever to write it. So I'm going to, you can divide these all by 1,000. You can divide them by 100. I'm just going to divide everything by 100. So that leaves me with negative 18 P squared plus 2,540 P minus 70,000. So now I have at least a bit smaller. So now I'm going to use the quadratic formula. There's A, there's B, and here's C. This equals 0 still. And I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to do this below. Okay, so part B is here. So I'm doing equals negative 2540 plus or minus, or I'm doing this quadratic formula, 2540 squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times A. Now I'm going to break out my calculator and I'm going to do all of this on the calculator. Now I know the bottom is negative 36, but I'm going to enter this square root in my calculator. So I'm going to turn it on. The square root of 2540 squared minus 4 times negative 18 times negative 70,000. And I get 1188.11, right? Because the 7 would round the 0 up. And so now I'm going to find my two price points. So one of them I'm going to take negative 2540 plus 1188 and 11 cents. Then I hit enter. Then I divide by negative 36 and I get a price point of $37.55. Now I'm going to find the next one. So negative 2540 minus 1188 and 11 cents. Hit enter, then divide by, and my next is $103, and again we're rounding, and 56 cents. So that is the answers. To be, the prices are, I'm rounding, $37.55 and $103.56. Okay, so there's part B. In part C, it asks us to use your answers from part B to determine the revenue and expense amounts for each of these break-even points and round to the nearest cent. So we're checking to see if they really do break even. Now we rounded, but I'm going to do this for the $37.55 first. So I'm going to plug it into my expense equation. So negative 54,000 times 37.55 plus 7 million times 37.55 plus 123. And I get 4,972,300. So that's my expenses. Now I'm going to plug this into my revenue. So negative 1,800 times 37.55 squared plus 200,000 times 37.55. And that equals, so negative 1,800 times 37.55 squared plus 200,000 times 37.55. And I get, it's close, 4971995.5. So these are close to being two. I mean, it's about $300 off, but they're close. The reason they're not exact is because we rounded. So then you would repeat the same for the price of $103.56. And if I plug it into the expense equation, you're just plugging it in. I got $1,407,760. And for revenue, I got $1,407,587.52. So those are less than $200 apart. And that completes the notes for this section.